What a blessed Sabbath. I love the quietness of this Sabbath. I don't know whether some like noise. Me, I prefer quietness. It gives us time to meditate with our God. So we meet again to study and enjoy the presence of the Lord while we expose on the scriptures that He has given us. And today we are going to study about these angels' messages. The angels' messages that came. And we know the first angel's message was proclaimed by William Miller, isn't it? And then William Miller proclaimed the second, and then the third, and then we believe the fourth and the fifth also come in line. So we are going to study and see why we have been given all these messages, and we're supposed to fortify ourselves with the truth of these messages. So when we are going to start, go to the word, to the little flock, page 10, and paragraph 4 and 5. And start where it says all classes of Second Advent. Yeah.
All classes of Second Advent believers agree that the angel brought to view in the 6th and the 7th verses of this chapter represents the Advent message to the church and to the world.
Right. Is it true that all the messages from Revelation 14, go to Revelation 14, verse 6 is William Miller, 6 and 7. Do we believe that this is the first angel's message? And Revelation chapter 14, verse 6 to 7 was the start of the Advent believers. Read it, let's hear.
And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven,
right,
having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth,
right,
and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people, saying with a loud voice, Fear God and give Him the glory, for the hour of His judgment is come, and worship Him that made heaven and earth and sea and the fountains of the waters.
So we believe that William Miller was raised in 1831 to prepare the world for the coming of Christ. At that time, he proclaimed that the event of 1844 was the coming down on earth of Christ, which the event wasn't correct, but the period, because he had read from Daniel chapter 8, verse 13 to 14, which says, unto 2,300 days shall the sanctuary be cleansed. So he was calculating from 457 BC to 1844. That is the 2,300 days expired in 1844. So to him, that period was showing when Christ was going to come on earth. But instead, Sister White corrected him in 1844 that instead it wasn't the coming of Christ on earth. It was the coming of Christ into the Holy of Holies. We said the other day that we have three heavens in heaven. We have a third heaven, which is paradise, where Christ went when He ascended. And in 1844, for them to deal with the earth, He had to descend. We see Him in Daniel chapter 7, verse 13, descending in clouds, going into the first heavens, where their thrones were set up to deal with the sin on earth. So Christ entered into the Holy of Holies in 1844. And that is the coming of Christ, which was being proclaimed, though the event, William Miller mistook it for coming of Christ on earth. Now, we saw Christ entering the Holy of Holies in 1844. This one we all believe. And that year, the proclamation of the year of that coming was proclaimed by William Miller in the first angel's message. And William Miller was preaching. One of his students was Ellen Hammond. Ellen Hammond was coming from the Methodist Church, and there is a boy there who was coming also, was called James White. And these two married, and they were students of William Miller, and they were disfellowshipped from that church because they were attending the lessons from William Miller, but they were being inspired to listen to the first angel's message, because Sister White was going to come as a third angel's message proclaimer. So William Miller, in Revelation 14, verse 6 to 7, we see him proclaiming, fear God and give him glory, for his hour of his judgment is come. So we believe here, from words to the little flock, he says, all classes of Second Advent believers agree that it's William Miller. Yeah, we agree that it's William Miller, isn't it? Right, go back to word to the little flock. Right? So if we agree that Revelation 14, verse 6 to 7 is William Miller proclaiming the first angel's message, then
all classes of Second Advent believers agree that the angel brought to view in the 6th and the 7th verses of this chapter represents the Advent message to the church and to the world.
Right.
If this is true,
is that true?
All five
is
of
that
the
true?
angels.
Yes, it is.
Then all 5 of the angels brought to view in this chapter represent 5 distinct messages prior to the Advent, or we are left without a rule to interpret the scriptures.
So there is no other interpretation, because we took Revelation 14, go to Revelation 14, want to see there are 5 messages in that chapter. So if we take it up to verse 9, where Sister White proclaims the third angel, we are left with other angels that have not proclaimed, that should proclaim in the church. So we cannot be saved without these 2 extra ones to make them 5 instead of 3. So all classes of Advent believers believe that these messages are messages coming to Advent believers, isn't it? And they should be 5 instead of 3. So Sister White went up to the third angel's message. So first angel's message is Revelation 14, verse 6 to 7. Right? Let's go to verse 8.
And there followed another angel, saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the
Why
wrath of
did
fornication.
William Miller say Babylon is fallen? Because when Sister White was coming, they disfellowshipped him for attending all the religious bodies that were there, that had reformed against the Catholic Church during the dark ages. They all have refused. They refused William Miller's message. So this made William Miller proclaim the second angel's message in Revelation 14, verse 8, which says, fallen, fallen Babylon. Do you understand? A church falls when you reject a heaven-sent message. They did reject that message, the second angel's message. Meaning it's a warning also to us. If we have still the 4th angel, the 5th, and we reject, we also automatically become Babylon is fallen. So let's go to the next angel, which is verse 9. Revelation 14, verse 9.
And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice,
Right.
If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, then the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God.
Listen to Sister White. She was given an awful warning to warn people not to receive the mark of the beast. So meaning, the church is judged first. How is it judged? By the mark of the beast. Is it? Because we all know the mark of the beast is going to be received by people from the Gentile world. They are the ones going to receive 666. The church has a silent 666 that they are already receiving, because once they do not adhere to Sister White's message and warning on Revelation chapter 14, verse 9, to worship the beast, of worshiping the beast, once they don't identify what it is worshiping the beast, they might be already receiving the mark of the beast without knowing. That's why the church is judged first. Why? The warning of Sister White said, if we as believers worship the beast, we will be judged. We will receive the wrath of God. So without knowing, most people say Sister White only proclaimed the Sabbath message, but you'll find that in Partaking and Prophets, she also proclaimed the keeping of the feast. Partaking and Prophets, from page 537 up to 541, she preached about the warning, the warning to keep the feast. And in that, we will find that Sister White proclaimed the feast and the Sabbath. Those are the two things. Someone else has asked me, has Sister White ever kept the feast? But who is warning people not to worship the beast? What did the beast do? Daniel chapter 7, verse 25. Because we are made to think that the worshipping of the beast is only on the day of the Sabbath, changing the day of the Sabbath. But she did not. The beast did not change the Sabbath only. You'll find what the beast changed in Daniel chapter 7, verse 25. What is it?
And he shall speak great words against the Most High.
Yeah.
And shall wear out the saints of the Most High,
Mm-hmm.
and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand unto a time and times and dividing of times.
So we see that same verse says that the beast changed times and laws, right? And what are the times and laws? And go to the same verse in the Good News Version.
He will speak against the supreme God. He will speak against the supreme God
So the
and
beast
oppress God's
spoke
people.
against the supreme God. And what?
And oppress God's people.
And also oppress God's people. Yes?
He will try to change their religious laws and festivals.
What did he try to change? The Sabbath and
The religious festivals.
so it's two laws that the beast tampered with. The moral law and the festival. That's what the Bible says. So we, from Sister White, since 1844, we changed the Sabbath back to Saturday. But we did not attempt to change the festivals. That's why there is a gospel going on over feasts. Why? It's the other law that we're supposed to change. Because the Bible explicitly says he will attempt to change the moral law, which is the Sabbath, and also to change the religious festivals. And these are the feasts. So we cannot just change the day only and be safe without changing the feast, especially those who will live until they see Christ coming. Christ should find us having finished all the Reformation back to what it was, change the Sabbath back to its original place, and the religious festivals. But where are they in our people? Where are these religious festivals? But God has said we have to adhere in Malachi chapter 4, verse 4 to 5. There was a warning because the festivals are there in that warning. Malachi 4, verse 4 to 5.
Remember ye the law of Moses, my servant,
Yes.
which I commanded unto him in Horeb for
Right.
all Israel,
For all Israel.
with the statutes and the judgments.
So we see that the Israelites, when they were given the law, they were not only given the 10 commandments, they were given statutes as well, and judgments, and commandments, and testimony. There are 4 laws that they got from Mount Sinai. Let's prove my point. When we go to Nehemiah chapter 9, verse 13, you find that these are 4 laws that were given to Moses. Moses wasn't given only the 10 commandments, was given these laws.
Thou camest down also upon Mount Sinai,
Yeah.
and spakest with them from heaven, and gavest them right judgments
1,
and true laws,
2 laws,
good statutes
statutes.
and commandments.
What are statutes? Because we have been told when Moses came to Mount Sinai, he was given 4 things: true laws, good commandments, statutes, and judgments. So we want to know what these judgments are. Already we know from the old book of Leviticus, Deuteronomy, all those laws that make us live from neighbor to neighbor, or humankind to animals, all are judgments, isn't it? But the statutes, what are these statutes? Go to Psalms chapter 81, verse 1 to 3.
Sing aloud unto God our strength.
Right?
Make a joyful noise unto the God of Jacob.
Right?
Take a psalm and bring hither the timbrel,
Right?
the pleasant harp with the psaltery.
Mm-hmm.
Blow up the trumpet in the new moon,
What?
in the time appointed, on our solemn feast day.
So we have there the new moon as a statute, isn't it? One, what is it?
Take a psalm and bring hither the timbrel,
Right?
the pleasant harp with the psaltery.
Right?
Blow up the trumpet in the new moon,
Right?
in the time appointed,
Right?
on our solemn feast day.
So the new moon is a time appointed,
And
is a feast day. Right? Next.
For this was a statute for Israel.
The new moon is a statute, is it? It's a feast, it's a statute. So you find that when you read about the feasts, God explicitly says there are statutes. Now we see on Nehemiah chapter 9 verse 13, he brought to Moses the commandments and the statutes and the judgments and the... So we found that the feast, one of them is the new moon, which is the beginning of the month, which is a new moon, which is always there, with 12 new moons the whole year. It begins all the biblical month. So this is a feast. And we also find the Sabbath is a feast. Go to Leviticus chapter 23. Right, chapter 23, verse 1.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, Concerning the feasts of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my feasts.
So, feasts are holy convocations, or holy coming together as a people to worship God. There is nowhere in the 10 Commandments where one was commanded to go to church. Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm seeing people saying, let's go to church, let's go. Do you know that it's keeping a feast when you go to church? Do you know that the 10 Commandments does not command anyone to go to church? The 10 Commandments says, remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. 6 days shall work be done, isn't it? But the Sabbath is the day of rest. For me, for my son, for my daughter, for my servant, for my ox, for anyone, any visitor who comes to my home, we are supposed to rest. Nowhere in the 10 Commandments you find a command for us to go to church. So, when the church is closed, you are a commandment keeper, you still continue to keep the commandments. But when you feel you want to go and meet others who of the same faith with you, you are keeping a feast. That's where you find Leviticus 23 saying it's a holy convocation, meaning you come together with others to worship God. That's only the portion in the Bible where you find people being commanded to go to church. They are keeping the Sabbath as a feast. Because the feast, what does a feast mean? Coming together, convocating. These are holy convocation. So the Sabbath being the first day to come together. And then you find the Passover is another feast. You find the Day of Pentecost, another feast. The New Moon, another feast. The Day of Atonement, another feast. The Feast of Tabernacles. All these are holy coming together. So, if we decide to go on a Sabbath to church, let's agree. We are keeping a feast. It's not the 10 Commandments. It's the other law, which is the statute. This is what Moses was given. The 10 Commandments and the statute. So, that's why we saw these two guys, 80 Johns, when they were sent. Soon after 1844, Sister White had reformed the Sabbath back to Saturday. Then God sent these two guys, 80 Johns and Wakona, to go and make sure the church also keeps the statute. But we are told in selected messages that these guys were rejected to nothing, and they ended up going to drink beer. They drank beer. They knew this was a message from God, but how come the people who were there that time rejected it so like that? It disheartened them. They went to drink beer. But Sister White had a warning that the same message will come towards the coming of Christ. That's why we are enjoying it right now. And also, she prescribed that when it comes again, it will be rejected. It will be despised. But now it's coming as a seal. It's coming to seal the people, to make sure you have a full Sabbath seal. The Sabbath is a seal. And also the all other Sabbaths in the feasts are a seal. These are what makes us belong to God. So here we are told all classes of Advent, second Advent, it means the coming of Christ. So all those who believe in his coming for the second time, that's all it means. It's not a name of the church. Second Advent believers does not mean you are mentioning a church. You are not mentioning any church. You are mentioning what Christ is to do, is to come for the second time. So all classes of second Advent believers agree that the angel brought to view on Revelation 14, verse 6 to 7 is a message to the church. If that is a message to the church, so what about verse 9, verse 8? It's also a message to the church. What about verse 9, which Sister White came? Sister White came with the third angel's message. It was a message to the church. What about verse 14 and 15? It's a message to the church. What about verse 16 and 17? It's a message to the church. So let's study and see what we are supposed to have and receive before Christ comes. Ye should find us ready with all these 5 full messages. Don't go up to 3. Go up to 5. And that will give you a complete seal. Okay, read on this here.
All classes
yes.
of Second Advent believers agree that the angel brought to view in the 6th and 7th verses of this chapter represents the Advent message to the church and to the world.
Right.
If this is true, then all 5 of the angels brought to view in this chapter represent 5 distinct messages prior to the Advent.
Right.
Or we are left without a rule to interpret this chapter.
Right.
The last 2 angels are messages of prayer.
This is Revelation 14, verse 14 to 15, and Revelation 14, verse 16 to 17. These are the last 2. In addition to the 3, the last 2 angels, what are they?
Are messages of prayer.
Right?
We shall, no doubt, better understand them at the time of their fulfillment.
Are we now understanding it too? That's our duty now. We can't be keeping on pondering on the 3 angels' message. They have been there since 1844. But we need the other last 2 that will demarcate us from those who only have 3. And those who have all 5 of them. That's what we saw. Even in the 10 virgins. The 10 virgins. 10 of them, 5 of them were foolish. Meaning 5 of them still had 3 angels' message. And 5 were wise. Meaning 5, the wise one, had an addition. Meaning they had the 3 angels' message and together with the 2 more to add. So this is what demarcated the foolish and the wise. So let's be wise. This is an individual program that God has given us. It's not a unanimous church program. You have to run for dear life and add the other 2 to the 3 so that you are rated to the 5 wise virgins. And the 5 foolish virgins refused to have 5 messages. They only had how many? 3. Do you understand why God said 5 foolish? Because he was talking of these 5 angels. That's why he also said 5 foolish, 5 wise. Meaning the 5 should ring a bell into everybody's head to say there should be 5. There should be 5. The messages should be 5. That comes to make sure you are whole again and you receive the whole seal. And we saw in Malachi chapter 4, verse 4 to 5. We saw in verse 4, remember ye the law of Moses which I gave unto Horeb. with the statutes and judgments. Not all the law is being remembered. Only two. The statutes and why the other ones are not being remembered? Because already from 1844, we have been having those 3 angels' messages. But the other 2 more angels' messages are coming to complete the statutes and judgments, so that we have 5 whole messages to make us completely sealed. We have been warned that there will be a seal. So it means sometime in life there will be something entering into our lives which we have not been practicing. If it has to start, the sealing, Sister White said, the sealing has to start, isn't it? It started. It's something that was brought, isn't it? The seal is brought. It wasn't there before. We have been practicing 3 angels' messages. But now we need 2 more, because there are 2. When Sister White went into Christ went into the Holy of Holies, he started 2 phases of investigative judgment. 1, he started with the dead. The dead are from, the first death is Abel, isn't it? Abel died first, isn't it? Until now, those who are dying, when Christ entered the Holy of Holies, is investigating what they had. What did they practice? Did they know what they practiced? And because James chapter 4 it will tell you that we are judged by what? By the light that we received. So whoever in each generation had a light that he received. And this is what God is using as investigative judgment is occurring in every generation. But in 1844, as he started with the Sabbath keepers, he starts with the 3 angels' messages. They knew about the first angel's message. They knew about the second. They knew about the third. In their investigation, and those people who knew about these 3 angels' message are dead. So that's why it says investigative judgment for the dead is what Christ started. Is the department he had been judging. But later on, towards his coming, he started also the phase of investigative judgment for the living. So now we know that in investigative judgment for the dead, he had 3 angels' messages. What about the investigative judgment for the living? He had a top-up message, which is these other 2 laws. So those who are supposed to meet Christ without tasting death will really have to work very hard in the investigative judgment for the living. There are messages fresh that are not the messages in the 3 angels' message. These were to judge the dead. But the living will be also judged with the 2 more messages, which the foolish ones did not have. Or the men who attended a feast without a garment. Do you understand? This is the garment that the men didn't have. The extra message, the extra light, investigative judgment for the living is what we should fortify ourselves. If we are true, we have to fortify ourselves with the sealing process right now. Then investigative judgment for the living is in progress. And if it is in progress, some are passing and some are failing. Or what are we saying as a people? Some are receiving the mark of the beast and some are receiving the mark of God. And before the judgment is finished for the church, when it is going to be extended to the Gentiles, the church should have a long time finished, because the church finishes first before the Gentiles are starting their investigative judgment for the living. So we have to understand that God will never deal with the church together with the Gentiles at the same time. He has the investigative judgment for the church first, and then the investigative judgment for the living, because for the Gentiles, because these who are supposed to meet Christ alive should also have their angels' messages to test them. And this is the angel number 4, angel number 5. Let's see if Sister White sees another angel coming. If she sees another angel, then it means she sees another prophet. Is it? Let's go to Early Writings, page 277.
I saw angels hurrying to and fro in heaven, descending to earth, and again ascending to heaven, preparing for the fulfillment of some important event.
Do you see, Sister White was proclaiming the third angel's message, but still sees another angel coming. And angels hurrying to and fro, giving more messages after her angel's message. And what else?
Then I saw another mighty angel commissioned to descend to the earth, to unite his voice with the third angel, and give power and force to his message.
So she is seeing another mighty. Do you see that? That angel coming after her was mighty. And you know, in angels, when you say they are mighty angels, she was being used by a third angel's message, isn't it? But there is another mighty. So it means some angel mightier than the angel that was used in Sister White. Who could that angel be which is said mighty? None other than Christ himself. So in the sealing process, we saw Christ is the one coming to introduce these other two messages to the church. And we only see people who we term that these people might be very extremist, or they are teaching something that is very, that is not what we have been practicing. What have we been practicing? The three angels' message, which is judgment for the dead. You need to step up to the judgment for the living. For which angel is bringing the judgment for the living is Christ himself, using a person we have on earth. That person we have is being fed by Christ himself as an angel, mighty angel, which Sister White says in Early Writing. Then I saw another mighty angel who descended. What did that mighty angel do in Early Writing?
Then I saw another mighty angel commissioned to descend to the earth, to unite his voice with the third angel, and give power and force to his message.
So that mighty angel comes, but we don't see an angel, because if we see an angel, we die. So what do we see? The angel uses human beings. So what we see, when Sister White was proclaiming, it was the third angel which came, but we didn't see the angel. I was proclaiming, it was an angel seen flying in the middle of from heaven with a message. And if that message came to William Miller and those churches which were there that time, which had reformed against the Dark Ages mark of the beast, those churches rejected William Miller's message. But what did they reject? They rejected the angel who was proclaiming using William Miller. And that's why they became Babylon straight away. Do you see that? And if this angel, the angel that is coming with Sister White, who gave a warning that if any man worship the beast, or if you keep the times that were changed by the beast, and sometimes you say, we are not keeping them. Yes, you are not keeping them. But if you are not keeping God's time either, then you are keeping them. There is no neutral ground. It's either you are with God or you are with the mark of the beast. Because even changing the Sabbath, if you are not in keeping the Sabbath, you are actually with the other side. So it's the same. If you are, the times were changed. We have been told in black and white, the times were changed. The festivals were changed. So if you are not with God's festivals, then you cannot proclaim and say, I did not keep the mark of the beast times. You were not with God. If you are not with God, you are with the other side. So this is what God says. God is saying, through Sister White, there is a mighty angel coming. Yeah? But you see, the church should be fortified already with 5 angels' messages. for the mark of the beast to be received by the Gentiles. For the gospel, when the gospel goes to the Gentiles, God should be long finished with the church and cannot join the church together with the Gentiles. When he goes to the Gentiles, he has finished with the church. So we are saying we are waiting for the mark of the beast with the 666 when we are already receiving it. We are already receiving it. And what will we have next is our judgment. First, the proclamation of the angel goes now to the Gentiles. So we have these two more messages which are to judge those who are living before they are given their judgment. So if we deliberately ignore them and we do not want to listen to them or to study them or to practice them, then we are just taken as those who receive them and rejected. And we are also being proclaimed by the same message, fallen, fallen, Babylon, like those who rejected William Miller's message, because it was an angel's message. It was a message coming from God. They automatically became Babylon. If we also reject the fourth angel's message, coming also with the statutes of God, for us to make sure we keep the statutes, we are also going to be proclaiming fallen, fallen Babylon. In our time, after the third angel's message, there should be another Babylon coming. And also, the fifth angel, the fifth angel, we have the fourth and the fifth angel, which is coming, and we have been warned. Let's go back to Malachi 4. Are you on Malachi 4? Verse 4.
Remember ye the law of Moses my servant,
Right.
which I commanded unto him in Horeb, for all Israel, with the statutes and the judgments.
Right.
Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord.
Right.
And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers,
Right.
lest I come and smite the earth with a curse.
The three angels' messages had a headquarters, which we call General Conference. It's a headquarter. It was in Washington. Is it? Yeah? In America, isn't it? That's the headquarters. That's where the message of the three angels' message is monitored. But the judgment of the living does not use the same location. Now, I want to prove my point. If I want to prove my point, because it has been assigned, go to early writings, the same early writing, page 119, first paragraph. Hear what Sister White says, my accompanying angel.
I saw that the remnant were not prepared for what is coming upon the earth.
Who are the remnant? I saw that the remnant were not at all. No. Much as we say we are ready to hope in the cloud, but Sister White, she saw we are not even ready for what is coming.
Stupidity, like lethargy, seemed to hang upon the minds of most of those who profess to
God
believe
is saying
that.
most of them appeared a bit stupid. When he says stupidity, it's coming from the voice of God. We're stupid. Sometimes you see, when you are driving out in the rural areas, you find cows or donkeys in the road. You understand? And they're seeing a bus coming in speed. And what does the donkey do? Start yawning and chewing the cud in the road. What is that donkey doing? It's stupid, because that thing is coming to bash you. So this is what God is saying. Some of us were in a stupor when there was danger coming. We were in a stupor. We don't even seem to be bothered. This is what Sister White is saying. And what?
I saw that the remnant were not prepared for what is coming upon the earth.
Right?
Stupidity,
Right.
like lethargy,
Right.
seemed to hang upon the minds of most of those who profess to believe that we are having the last message.
They were not bothered. When things happen, they don't bother. They don't care. And God said, That's what we appear. When something is about to happen, we appear in a lethargic condition, stupor. We don't even, we act as if we don't see the danger. And the danger, we don't even comprehend the danger. Right, and what?
My accompanying angel
Right.
cried out with awful solemnity.
The accompanying angel who was using Sister White cried when she saw Sister White is seeing our condition, being inspired to say, look at how they look like. Stupor. You know, people are not bothered. They're not even digging. They've got the Bible, they've got the spirit of prophets, nobody's bothered to search the word. Nobody. There is stupor. There is lethargy amongst us. And
my accompanying angel cried out with awful solemnity. Get ready, get ready, get ready.
Get ready.
For the fierce anger of the Lord is soon to come.
There is a fierce anger of the Lord about to come. Get ready. Get ready. Meaning some of us will be caught up. Some of us will be caught up. That's why there are 5 foolish virgins, 5 wise. Get ready. Get ready. You know, these messages, they should actually wake us up to say, hey, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Let me search the word. The word is there. And listen to that. Let's go to Great Controversy, page 608. Second paragraph, where it says, as the storm. Yeah?
As the storm approaches, a large class who have professed faith in the third angel's message,
right,
but have not been sanctified through obedience to the truth, abandon their position and join the ranks of the opposition.
Have you seen people who have been so prominent preachers of the third angel's message? Some of them believing that there is no more Christ. I've seen some of them believing. I have seen terrible things to quantify that verse, to show that Sister White wasn't lying. God inspired her to see the last day. Though she died in 1915, she's seeing what we are like in the last day. People who professed, who preached and cried the 3 angels' message. But when they are now supposed to go to the 4th, the 5th, where do they go? They just lost it out. Why? Because when we are going to the judgment for the living, the oil which had been burning from 1844, the 10 virgins say the oil ran out. Some people are feeling that oil is running out. Huh? The oil, which is what? The 3 angels' messages from 1844. That was a burning lamp when it started. That oil has to finish. And when it finishes, the transition now is to catch on to the 2 more angels' messages, to top the oil that has finished in the vessels, to take the extra oil and put it on and continue burning. Instead of continuing to burn, what are others? They feel the oil is gone. And what are they saying? There's no more Christ. There's no more. Spiritualism has invaded the church. It has invaded the church, and people who are prominent, who actually wanted to worship God until the end, they have slided. They are now sliding. Some have gone back to eating meat. Some have gone back to even doing the worst things than Gentiles. Sister White saw that. Why? Because they feel the oil is run out. But instead, they should top. They should top. When oil finishes in the lamp, what do? Top with the 2 angels' message to make them 5. But instead, some are not topping. What are they doing? Goes out as a tangent and now start proclaiming there is no Jesus. There is no eating with the drunkard and all sorts of things. But we are supposed, when the oil is finished, and let me tell you, do not pretend it hasn't finished. If it is time for the judgment of the living, or if it is time for the sealing process in the church, it means the 3 angels' message, which was there with the judgment of the dead, is run out. So it's these 2 more messages that are supposed to take their possession. But instead, what are we doing? Casting out those who are having those two more topping messages so that your lamp continues to burn. And that's why the 5 foolish virgins lost out. You know, the scripture says they went to read. They went to buy the lamp. When they felt Christ was coming, they went to buy they bought the oil and came and had dialogue with Christ when Christ was already in the kingdom. That's the parable of the kingdom, isn't it? The 10 virgins is a parable of the kingdom. And Christ had already entered with the wise, and they had to have a dialogue with him. We want to come. We had gone to buy the lamp, and Christ said, I never knew you. I never knew you. You know, they read. They went to read at the wrong time. They went to catch on to the 2 angels' messages at the wrong time. They were zealous at the wrong time. But the time for them to be zealous is now. But Sister White said they were in a stupor. They were very lethargic. They didn't want. They said, shall I? Shall I not? Shall I? Because the 2 more messages had not been practiced in the church. For you to acquaint yourself with it, you have to be so humble to be cast. Your name should be cast like a devil. Your name should be taken off as something else. But that's the time you should pick up your speed. Pick up your strength. When your name is cast as, you know, it says so in Luke. Go to Luke chapter 6, verse 22. You should know. People are scared to acquaint themselves with the 2 more additional messages.
Blessed are ye when men shall hate you,
right?
And when they shall separate you from their company.
Right. Is it what happens when you catch on the strange message which is not already being practiced? Check the record at the back. When Sister White was associated with William Miller, she was cast out from the Methodist Church. That's what happened in 1844. That's what happened, right? You check what Luther did when he preached the message. When Luther preached the message, was cast out. Yeah? And the next one who was reforming, who is it? John Knox, to form the Presbyterian. He preached during the Dark Ages. He preached the message of the Holy Spirit and was cast off. Yeah? And also, who else followed? The 2 Wesley brothers, John and Charles Wesley. They preached the message on grace. They are saved by grace. Yeah? And what happened? Did the church accommodate them? They were cast out. That's why they formed the Methodist Church. They were cast out. They were reforming against the mark of the beast, the times which were being changed. They were cast out. This is the order of the day. Don't be scared to stand for the right. Don't be scared. Because that's why Luke says, they will cast your name as a devil. You should be ready to do that. And when Campbell preached the message on baptism by immersion, what happened? He was cast out to form the Baptist Church, right? And William Miller, he preached and the whole world made a spectacle out of him. And Westhoff, he had a disappointment in 1844 when he said Christ was going to come. Christ didn't come, but instead, the timing was correct. 2,300 days was correct. He went into the Holy of Holies. Christ went into the Holy of Holies. But what happened to his name? William Miller was cast and fanaticism came out. You read the Great Controversy properly. You find how much he was bashed by the people. Yeah? The people cast his name like anything. You will never fight for the truth while at the same time maintaining a good name. Never. Never. It has never happened in the Bible. Check everywhere. Jeremiah, Isaiah, Joshua, all the prophets in the Bible were killed for the truth. How come, how dare you want to stand for the truth and at the same time maintain a good name with the people? Just to make sure you have the truth, you should make sure you bury your name down and you just remain with the truth. While your name is buried, there is no way you will have both. You will never have both. And when Sister White came, let's not pretend she was nice. No one wanted her. And to prove that point is when she preached that we should be vegetarian, how many became a vegetarian? So it means nobody wanted her. It means nobody until today. Some are saying she is a false prophet, she is a what? But she came also to fulfill the third angel's message. And even those who are in the church are now saying, I don't want anything to speak of prophets, I only want the Bible and Bible alone. But there's no way you will have it without the third angel's message to support the Bible, what it's saying. So, the fourth angel's message should receive the same rejection. The fifth should receive this worse off, because if the devil was so violent with the prophets, Isaiah, Jeremiah, all those prophets, very violent with him. Even the very main prophet who is Christ, very violent with him. He was cast out, castigated for introducing strange messages. He was even killed. So if they did that to the master, what about the student? There's no way. But run with your life. Catch on to the next two messages. And you get yourself salvation. You see? And what else? Where are you reading? Luke. Luke says,
Blessed are ye,
right?
when men shall hate you,
right?
And when they shall separate you from their company.
They are not hating you for your money, or for your food, or for your clothes, or for your car, they don't hate you for that. They hate you for the Son of Man, for the message. Once they hate you for that, God says, blessed are you. That's where we should mark down to say that hatred is lifting you up instead. But people think narrowly and think, oh, now people are going to hate me because now I've caught on to these other two messages and the judgment of the living. But you know what? You're losing your salvation. You dare to be a Daniel, dare to be alone, dare to stand alone, but be bold with the message which will come to give you salvation, and salvation for you and others. And what?
And shall reproach you, and cast your name.
Way starts.
Blessed are ye,
right?
when men shall hate you,
right?
And when they shall separate you from their company.
Do they?
And shall reproach you.
Do they disfellowship people for messages? Yes. And instead of searching the messages, they don't want to search. They just say out, just like that, out, just like that. I'm happy when they're out. Where do they worship? At home. And where are we now? Together with them. So let's enjoy what they have been enjoying all these years when they have been cast out as devils. Let's also enjoy in our homes and also learn from them that some of them have been in homes for decades and decades, and nobody thought how they experience. God is also making us test how they experience. And what is it?
And shall reproach you and cast out your name as evil.
Right?
For the Son of Man's sake.
For the sake of the Son of Man, they cast your name as evil. Right? And
rejoice ye in that day, and leap for joy.
Right?
For behold, your reward is great in heaven.
Your reward is great in heaven. You know what you are scared of? You are scared to take on the two additional messages because you want to maintain a good name, but you are losing your reward in heaven. My Bible says your reward is great. If you stand by God, your reward is great in heaven. And verse 26.
Woe unto you.
Woe unto you.
When all men shall speak well of you.
This is what people are fighting for. They were doing that to Christ. Nobody wanted to stand by Christ. Because that message, everybody who was with Christ was a reproach to that church by then. And people did not. That's why even Nicodemus went by night. Yeah, he went by night because he was scared of people. And God said to him, go and be born again. Because he testified with his mouth that you are the Son of God. No one can preach such a message without coming from God. And Christ said, what? Go and be born again. If you know of all that, so why are you coming by night? Be born again. Some of us, they believe there is 2 edition message, but you don't stand by them. Why? You're scared. Be born again. Be born again. You will never be saved with only 3 messages. You will be saved with 5. But to take up the 2 extra ones, you have to be born again. You have to be born again. Your name should be a reproach. There have been a reproach. The other ones who professed, who went up, Luther was a reproach to the church by then. Knox, a reproach to the church by then. John and Charles Wesley, to the church by then, was a reproach. William Miller was a reproach. Sister White was a reproach, was cast out for listening to William Miller. And now, for those who go to the 4th angel, the 5th angel should also be a reproach. If you are not a reproach, check somewhere. Check somewhere. Like it was with Christ, the brothers were saying it was a Feast of Tabernacle. And Christ was alone at home and was not even making any move to show that he's going to go to the Feast of Tabernacle where everyone was rushing. So the brothers say, you can see, go and read in Matthew 28, you find all those stories. The brothers to Christ say, let's go. If we're having all these miracles, you're preaching all this, go and preach at the Feast of Tabernacle where everyone is there, the priests are there, they will listen to you, to your message. Christ said, I'm not going. And they say, why? They say, we are going, and they are okay with us. They are happy with us. We are going. And Christ said, it's because you don't preach against them. Because his word was preaching against them. If you preach the truth, it appears as if you are preaching against somebody, isn't it? But it's not like that. The truth is the truth, whether it means someone or doesn't mean someone, the truth is the truth. And why Christ wouldn't be accepted by the brothers were accepted? The brothers were dumb. They were dumb dogs. That's why they were accepted. Christ will not shut up. And our admonition today is, cry aloud. Spare them not. I have set watchmen to the walls of Zion. They will never be silent. If you are silent, you are not a watchman. You are not a watchman. If you are a watchman, God is saying, I've set up watchmen along the walls of Zion. They will cry aloud. When anything is wrong, they will mention it. It's not criticizing, but God said, cry, spare them not. Agitate. Work for the truth so that people are saved. Show them the right way so that people are saved. So here we see, at the storm, go back to Great Controversy, page 608, second paragraph. So we have been told that some, as this 3rd angel is running out so that they catch on to the other extra 2, some will abandon the faith. We have seen them abandoning, and we are worried. Why? This one was some sort of a pastor. Now what is he doing? He's preaching something different. We have been saying all that. So it has been prescribed. They will abandon because the lamp is running out. They only need to top up with the 2 extra messages onto the lamp. And what?
As the storm approaches, a large class who have professed faith in the 3rd angel's message,
right,
but have not been sanctified through obedience to the truth, abandon their position and join the ranks of the opposition.
Instead, where do they go? To join the opposition. If we are professing Christ, they go to say there is no Christ. Right? Yeah? They profess something different in opposition. And what?
By uniting with the world and partaking of its spirit, they have come to view matters in nearly the same light. And when the test is brought,
right,
they are prepared to choose the easy, popular side.
What test is being brought of this additional message so that you become a wise virgin? But they are not prepared to take it up. What are they prepared to do? They want the easy side. What is the easy side? The easy side is just professing nothing. That's the easy side. But those who will take up these 2 extra extra lights that come to join in the third, as Sister White saying, I saw a mighty angel which came to join in with the third angel's message in early writing, page 277. Then it's not an easy light. It involves a lot of things. You hated, reproached, like all other reformers who brought anything new. They were hated, they were reproached, cast their names as devils. And God says, woe unto you, when all men will say good about you. So they said to the false prophets. You know, some people have thought preaching has to do with preaching to numbers of people. And they think when you have a lot of people as audience, and people are saying, how many? In a field, so many heads of people you are preaching. They think, they feel big with that. But God is saying through Luke chapter 6, verse 26, it says, read it again. I love that one. I love that one. If you want to prove, if that preacher is preaching a right message, prove with Luke chapter 6, verse 26. What does it say?
Woe unto you, when all men shall speak well of you.
Right?
For so did their fathers do to the false prophets.
They did that to the false prophet. It's proven now because we had a prophet who is called Christ. He only had 12. Right? Those are the people that he knew was his church, 12. Wherever he was going, the 12 were with him. Yeah. That's a sign and symptom that there is a message there. But if your sign and symptom is the multitude of numbers, and you think you can prove you are right by the multitude of numbers, you will be ashamed. Woe unto you, for so did their fathers to the false prophet. Luke 6, chapter 26, that's what Luke says. If you want to prove you have a message, it should actually be a narrow road. The narrow road goes to eternal life. The broader road goes to perdition. That's what it says. Because this is not a message of any mercy or what. It's a message of life and death. And it means someone who is round about 360 degrees decided to be used by God. No quails about it. Whether come hell, come fire, come anyone, reproached, done anything, standing alone like Daniel, you will just stand with the name of God and nothing else. And this is what God says. Be happy that day when everyone will reproach you, but stay with God. But those who love numbers, so did their fathers to the false prophet. When every man said, oh, there she is, he's come. You should not be happy with that. You are not preaching a good message. If it is a message from God, people will run away from it. Just a few we have thought precisely well, like Peter, like Nathaniel, like those disciples which were walking with Christ. That's what proves you have a message from God. There is never a time when a message of God had so much reception. It had a few, and then the few went on to tell the other few, and few until at the end. There is no that applause that people are looking for everywhere. Yeah? So many, even in the internet, people are looking for views. They are looking for views. They want to prove they have a message by having a views. But you know, one tip I have to tell you is, the lesser the views, the more accurate the message. If you want an accurate message, which is the message of the hour, it has no views. It cannot be put on scale by views. No. Because if you go even in other places, the views, they are coming for things that are so dirty, things that are not that demoralizing. They have a lot of views. And the views is not a yardstick to measure your message. Your message is measured by the genuineness of the message. And thus said the Lord, to the law and to the testimony. Now, as we go and finish off we'll come again later and finish off this subject. It's a wide subject, so that we know exactly how much these two other edition messages, as we saw, the three angels' messages were based at a headquarters, right? But the other two other messages, they also should be based at another headquarters. We will study about that. And the other headquarters is where the voice comes from. The voice comes from Zion. The voice comes from Zion. So here, we will start on that subject when we get time in the afternoon, so that we see exactly what is happening and we enjoy the lesson, and we enjoy and make our election sure for salvation. God bless.